welcome everybody to another episode of Rise Urban Nation. I got my brother, my DMV DC brother with me today, so you know it's about to get lit in this conversation.
Of
Ed
course.
Dixon, how are you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. I can't complain, bro. I'm right now in Mexico, live from the resort. Having a good time.
Yeah, you gotta break that down for me. You can't just throw that out there casually. How the young brother from DC out here just chilling in Mexico,
Yeah,
jet setting?
right.
I feel like every time we was messaging each other, you was in another continent or somewhere doing something other than DC.
yeah. Nah, we're getting that. I definitely moved around a lot, but now I'm just here for the weekend, celebrate my girlfriend's birthday. So I stay in Florida now, so it's an easy flight, hour and a half. So we're in Cancun basically. So it's a good vibe, man. And it's normally like I travel a lot. I'm normally not a resort type person because I like to be on the go,
Yeah.
explore, really getting into the community. So, but it's a good vibe though, man. It's probably my third resort, but Mexico's a way different vibe.
Okay.
We still gonna get out and explore. Not too much, we ain't trying to get kidnapped in them, but we gonna step out a little bit and see what's going on out there though. So yeah, we hit till Monday.
Nice. So I'm gonna have to get out there because I reside in San Diego now, so I'm only a hop, skip, and a jump. So
Right.
I haven't hit the resort life yet over there, but I heard some great things. I heard they got some 5-star chefs and restaurants
Yeah.
and spots out there. So I'm gonna have to check it out. So we're gonna have to chop that up later. You have to give me your tips and
Sure.
and the spots I need to hit up.
Yeah, sure, definitely, bro.
Yo, so let's jump into it, man. Ed Dixon. For
It's
those people who
Doxen.
don't know you, I'm sorry,
No, you
Doxen.
good. Everybody,
I don't know why I threw the
yeah,
I don't know why I threw the I in there.
yeah, everybody do that.
My apologies. So for those who don't know who Ed is, who is Ed? Allow you to reintroduce yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I'm a proud DC native, only child, family oriented, community minded man, and just a person that's trying to just always, do the impossible, go above and beyond. Like, we talked about before we hopped on this, like, what society said we would be, statistics, our environment, even myself, being a product of teenage parents. My mom told me when she had me, people counted us out, counted her out, the whole nine yards. So I'm always just trying to do like the impossible, bro. Just whatever it is. Like I feel like whatever you want to do is really start up in the mind. Get the mindset and you just go forward.
Yeah, that's what I often tell the young people when I see them, and a lot of them have limited beliefs based on the environments they grew up in, or who's in their ear, and I try to give them something different from what the norm that they're used to.
Mm.
Actually, I'm not going to even put that on the youth. Adults got limiting beliefs too.
Yeah,
Let's put that out there.
and I experienced that too. That's why I also too is like I had to learn you don't always share your dreams and thoughts with everyone, especially older adults, and they don't mean no harm by it, but they're just going off of their perspective and their lenses and the fears that they may have. Because there's a lot of stuff I've done in my career. My grandparents are like, "Why are you doing that? Like that don't make no sense." So sometimes you got to trust yourself and go with it.
Yeah, and it don't make sense to them because they experience life in their time and generation, which is very different from what you experience,
But
and that dream was meant for you. It wasn't meant for them. So, God, Buddha, Allah, whatever you believe in, the universe gave you that vision because that vision was meant for you to carry out. And nobody could tell you how to carry out that vision but you. So you have to figure it out for yourself.
yeah.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. So let's get into your career, the industry you're in.
Mhm.
Like, how would you explain the industry you're in, and what is it that you do in your career?
Yeah. So man, I'm currently working in human resources. I've had a few career switches. I got my bachelor's degree from Delaware State in social work. That was in 2015. And I remember getting to school. I thought I was gonna major in business, marketing, or sports management, all this stuff. But I wanted to major in something that kind of meant something to me. So majoring in social is funny. So when I majored in social work, I knew that I never wanted to be a social worker. But I got introduced and learned about the policy as it relates to social work. And for me, it was like I majored in social work because everything that I went through growing up in DC, man, like picking that major, going to those courses, human behavior in the social environment, one of my favorite classes, like it made me understand so much stuff way more if it was from family, if it was from my friends and all that. And I say that because when I went away to school, unfortunately, the typical story, you'd be the only one of your boys maybe go away to school, some get locked up. My best friend got killed at 15. So also carried that survivor's remorse with me. You trying to figure out what's what. So majoring that helped me. But while I was there on campus, real active in leadership, doing different type of things, working, with Congressman John Carney at the time, the Boys and Girls Club, all those different type of things. But I fast forward to say that once I graduated, my first job out of Dale State was in human resources with MGM Resorts in Las Vegas. So it wasn't
Okay.
social work, it wasn't nothing to do with people, but it was human resources. So I got there, and man, mentally, I just hated it because like I was all, like sir, I'm like, yeah, man, let's go chase a dream. I got out Vegas. I'm like, bro, what am I doing? Like I was 3 hours, behind time, everybody. I didn't know anybody, homesick, adjusting to that corporate culture, especially coming from that community level work. So it was just a lot, mentally. But I say that to say it was a great experience because that was my intro to HR. So while I was there in
Yeah.
resources, I started to see like, all right, this just isn't recruiting. They got a thing you call transactional human resources, then you got transformational human resources. So now when we see
Ooh.
transformational, it's about the diversity, the equity, inclusion, talent management, all of that type of stuff. So when I started to when I saw that, and at the time too, there was an older black guy who worked in learning and development. So I saw how he was moving learning and development, keeping the organization going. I was like, all right. I was thinking about law degree. I was thinking about MBA. I was like, no, I'm gonna get my master's in human resources. And I had a mentor in my ear too, telling me like, he's like, you should look up HR. He said it's leadership and coaching. And he was like, it's what you do on the community level. This is the corporate level, more money, more exposure, all those different type of things. So fast forwarding, man, I came back home. Was working with Mayor Bowser, still in the community. That was something on my goal I always had, wanted to work for the mayor. So I was doing community outreach in Ward 6, Southeast, Southwest, Potomac Gardens, Greenleaf, up Kennedy, all those type of areas, man. It was like rewarding.
Woo! You was in it. You was in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
trenches.
yeah. They had me in the mix, man. Like, but it was a rewarding experience because I was able to really help, connect, and do so many things. I still have relationships with some of those communities to this day. But while I was there, I'm still, in my head, like, all right, well, we gonna get this master's in? Because in politics and politics, you don't really need a degree to go into politics. So I'm like, all right, what second
Right.
degree I'm gonna get? So man, I took a leap of faith, bro. I walked away from a good salary, making a good bag, went back to grad school full time. Shout out to Towson University. Ended up getting a graduate assistantship. So I'm going from making salary, bro, back to $300 every 2 weeks, living in East Baltimore. But I knew too. I was like, look, I'm like, if I'm gonna do this grad school thing, I'm like, I can't work. Me personally, I'm like, I'm not gonna work and then go to class and doing papers and then going back to work. I was like, I gotta go through, and I didn't want to do no 3 4 year program. So I went straight through a year and a half. Got that, man, amazing experience. I got to intern in Caesars Entertainment while I was there. Got the which is in Baltimore, Horseshoe Casino. Shout out to Elise, my manager at the time, one of my favorite, probably even one of my favorite managers to this day. Learned a lot from her. And then worked at Rolls Royce one summer out in Reston, Virginia, doing that at Amtrak as well. So while I was there, I'm getting these different experiences in different areas of like, oh, recruiting. Oh, this is rewards and benefits. Oh, this is talent management. And then once I graduated, bro, it's ironic. I'm saying I'm here in Mexico. I end up moving to Mexico. So I was moving to Mexico with Citi. I got a job for Citibank,
Uh-huh.
leadership development program. So they like, hey, you can go to New York, Mexico, Florida. I'm like, man, all right, I'll go to Mexico for a year. If y'all gonna pay for it, y'all gonna teach me Spanish. I'm like, why not? So got over there, kept running the visa issues, man. So I was in New York for 3 weeks. Then I got to Mexico. I was in Mexico probably for like 3.5 weeks. Got the visa. They was like, this the wrong visa. So they told me to go back to Florida, get another visa. But once I got back to Florida, they're like, hey, if you want to stay there, you can just stay there. And that was the rest of history. But like I tell you, I ended up in Florida by accident. But I got to Florida 2019, October. I went to the beach on Christmas. And I said, man, I ain't never going back home. Like, that was just I was like, this is it. Like, and I love my family and I miss my family a lot. But, bro, like, as I mentioned earlier, human behavior in the social environment related to social work. It related to my life, too. From my peace, my mindset, how I move, how I work out, like, it's like, bro, it's like, it's just so different. Like, people be like, why do you like Florida as a red state? They talk about I'm like, I ain't, that stuff matter. But like, when I'm there, it's like I get the best version of me, and everybody around me gonna get the best
Uh-huh.
version of me. And like, I love DC, and I miss DC too, but it's just that mindset I'm always itching, man. Like, shout out to Kenny Burns. he had a quote I saw on Instagram in college, man. It said, "The world is bigger than your block." Simple quote, bro, but I kept
Uh,
that in my mind. Like, I'm like, yo, there's so much out here. You young, don't have any kids yet. So I'm like, just really, like, man, I really just had the mindset of, like, with like my Instagram podcast, Dreams by Any Means. I have an any means mindset. With like, all right, because if anything, I look
yeah,
at it like home is gonna always be there. You know what I'm saying? Home will always be. Like I
yeah,
said, Vegas, went to Vegas, that ain't work out. Went back home. Boston's like home is gonna always be there. But for me, I'm gonna go more crazy than thinking like woulda, coulda, shoulda. Or, man, I should have took that
yeah,
opportunity. Like so, yeah, man. Like through all those experiences, now I'm in Florida. I got a full remote job. I work in talent
okay,
acquisition, specifically with college recruiting in the healthcare industry.
yeah,
And I started that this January, and it's been amazing, man. A great team, a great culture. And I say that to say because sometimes people are like, oh, we have a great culture here, family culture, but like this is the first job, and I would say from a corporate standpoint, where it's a good culture, bro. I'm managed by a black man in HR, which that's
wow,
you rarely gonna see
that's
that.
rare.
You'll see black women and other races and things like that, but a black man and that young black man as well. Like so, this has been a good experience for me, man. I traveled to Kentucky for the headquarters last month. I'm going to New Orleans for a conference on behalf of them, learning a lot, and also I say the social work and community background. It's so funny how it works out because a lot of those skills are transitioning over into this role because I'm
Yes,
working with people, but I'm also working with college kids. I'm working with students, college campuses, that relationship building, the whole nine yards. So I'm actually been able to marry, my love for community as well as my love for HR, just bringing that corporate
uh,
community together. So yeah,
yeah, you like a unicorn. You know what's funny? Our stories mirror each other a whole lot.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy. Like my community experience, Liz and Liz to my HR experience for my day job. Because I was doing a lot of community development programs, workforce development programs in the community. Then went into talent development
Okay,
and in the corporate scene. Then came over to create and manage and lead equity, diversity, and inclusion for the county of San Diego, which
nice.
is has like 20,000 employees, right?
Yeah,
And so uh all those experiences helped me tremendously. And my master's degree in organizational development,
oh
I didn't
nice.
really set out to go into
Yeah,
HR initially when I first did it,
mm,
but I landed here
yeah,
and then have been able to make impact and marry all those
yeah.
things together.
Solid.
And so I love the way you've been able to do the social marry all those things together. What's the biggest thing that you think um has helped you, kind of stand out and be the best version of yourself when looking at how you lend some of that community lens, that social work lens into the and infuse it into the work that you do?
Like what's like you saying, what's helping me be the best version of myself in my workspace or just
Yeah, your workspace and like when because I think sometimes HR professionals
yeah,
what they learn from HR professionals with policy procedure and just putting things in place. Some who don't have that social and community
right,
experience you have
yeah,
lack that component, right?
yeah,
And so they lack the empathy and all of the humanness of
yeah,
human resources
yeah,
because they like, oh, these structures need to be in place
right, right.
to really, protect the company and make sure that we move people in this direction. I was like, yeah, but there's also a human element to that too.
Yeah, yeah. I would say, man, it's being relatable and adaptable, and I think it goes back to some stuff I think you really can't teach. I credit my family a lot, like my grandfather and my grandmother. I mean, people that know my family, my uncle, my mom, my aunt. I mean, all of my like immediate family. We all are like people. We are like people magnets, and that comes from our upbringing of being raised in the church. I know for myself too as a kid, man, I moved around a lot, not like as far as state to state, but like, my mom and dad has split early. So, it might be weekends with dad, then I might be with mom, then I might be at grandma's house. So I say that to say is that, mom and grandma lived in Northeast, dad lived over in Southeast. So we know like South Side, Northeast is like night and day. But as a kid, it's like, I got friends over here in Northeast, I got friends over in Southeast, the makeup of these communities is so different. So I know those experiences as a kid, man, allowed me to really pick up that, as my mom said, chameleonaire type trait where, you're able to adapt in any environment. So, for me, it's like I'm able to adapt to these environments and, still be myself. I pride myself on relationship building, bro. Like, and I know for a fact it's God too, because wherever I'm at, bro, like I be telling my friends, I'm like, bro, I be minding my business, bro. and people start talking to me. But if anybody know me, once you start talking, I'm gonna open up. We're gonna start talking. Like I done met people, man, just in the gym, going shop. Just yesterday, not yesterday, it was a Thursday. I was in the Avatar Mall in Miami, man. I'm going to just buy some flip flops from G Star. End up meeting somebody. We get to talking, wrapping it up. You know, she's about to be a guest on my podcast soon. So I think it's just really having that, that aura about you that I said sometimes you really can't teach it, but based on your upbringing, who you're around, and even now the people I'm around, the people are
Right.
like mentorship. Like I tell people, man, I brag on, my family, my big homies, big bros, mentors. Like you might see them on Fox 5, you might see them on CNN, like they doing their thing. And like these are people that I talk to every day. So even without, them probably giving you the guide or the manual, it just rub off onto you and they showing you. And it's like, yeah, I would say it's just that, bro. Like keeping that circle around you too, because it's rough out here. Like you can have the best upbringing, but you got to sustain that energy. You got to sustain those morals, those different skills. Like to just keep getting better.
Yeah, I'm a big energy guy, so I like that as well.
Yeah,
And I realize, and that's another thing, going back to the something you had said about moving from DC. I realized my energy was different in DC, and
yeah,
it wasn't because I was always looking for trouble. It was just because, I grew up around people that lived a certain lifestyle.
right,
And so, it was hard to escape elements of that lifestyle. Hey, I need you to hold something. I was
yeah.
like, all right, how long you need me to hold it for? Right. And those things get you into situations sometimes.
Nah, bro, like one
And
time to mess up, bro. And yeah, that's how I was too. And I trust me, I was telling somebody. I remember I was in school, right, and I would be coming home, like you in college, man, you finding yourself, all that. And it's like, man, I'm coming home, and I never forget. Shout out to my big bro Tony Lewis, and he had a tweet one day. He said, "Man, the most, like the hardest thing to accept is when you don't have nothing in common with your like childhood friends, and not all of them. But I'm saying, like, as you're growing, and you may take different life. You don't have nothing in common with some people, but the past. And I'm saying that, like, man, I'm coming
yeah,
home, and we in school, I'm doing Trayvon Martin rallies and marches and all that, and you go around the way, and they might be talking about a move they just made. And I'm like, man, I can't even relate to this, no more. But it's like
yeah,
that energy and that mindset and easy can just like rub off on you, or it's just like you just gotta like want to just keep growing and stuff. And yeah, and like I said, I love DC to death, and DC, man. That's why also I feel like I can move around. Like, we know, bro, if you could grow up and survive in DC, not even just the violence that come with it, but it's more so the culture. Like, people don't understand.
yeah,
DC is a place where, like, they even talk about it, man, from even in prison, how, like, I got a cousin who's been, like, a correctional officer out in Cali for, like, 25 years. Got a lot of people in that work.
yeah,
I'm always on YouTube watching the people that's done 20, 30 years in prison. And they even say they like these dudes got a different mindset. They don't answer to nobody. It ain't no gang. It ain't no this. It's what they call man time. Like, this is who I am. You gonna take and accept who I am, and this is what I believe. So when you grow up in DC around that, bro, we take pride. We got our own food. We got our own swag. We got our own culture. We talk about the New Balance, the phones, go go. Now rap is cool. You
yeah,
rap in DC back in the day, they laughed at you. So I think like coming from the city, bro, and like people understand too, the city being so small, that helped me.
yeah,
We didn't have it's no such thing as really a neighborhood school because the city's so small. You could live on the south side and go to Wilson, or me, like
yep.
I went to a couple of schools, so you know what I mean. Like I was at Spangard, Easton, McKinley. So even going to that, bro, it's like
Dang, you went to all of them.
yeah, like, when
Jeez.
I look at my life, bro, it's like I look at it like, man, it's like, dang, this how many of us adapt. So yeah, like I think that, man, being raised in that city, bro, it just really like make you grow up faster. And then when you go other places, you feel 10 times ahead. That's how it is for me, like down in Florida, Miami, but specifically in Broward. I live in Broward. Shout out to Pompanos and Pompano First. People know Pompano got his rep for being Pompano. Like that's what Kodak from. Lamar Jackson, all that. But I'm saying that to say is that when I got there, people, Pompano, it'll be it's wild, it's this, is that. And I'm like, bro, like it's cool. Like I'm saying, and that's it. I'm like, but it's like when you come from a place like that where it's just nonstop, it's beefs where like one neighborhood is here, one neighborhood the block over. What neighborhood I grew up in Northeast, like the neighborhood up the street, literally 5 minutes, bro. And that unfortunately beef still going on today. So it's like you just a little quicker and a little on your feet. So it's like for me when I go places too,
Yeah,
I'm not looking for trouble. And for one, I know my people, understand my people, meaning black people. So I know how to navigate. I know how to move and not to move. And then the next thing is just like, it's like, I'm telling you, like, I'm not moving places. Like I don't live in the hood, but it's funny. All the places I've lived, I'm usually live right by the hood, and like I'm cool with that
Yeah.
because it's like for one, my passion for service and being able to connect with people. For two, I know I'm gonna have some good food. Another one, I know
Yeah.
I'm gonna be able to find me a nice back alley mechanic. You know what I'm saying? Like so,
Yeah.
it's like those type of and it's not even intentionally. It's like I gotta tell the story because like I remember when I was living in Boston, my mother hated me living out there. You know, she thought it was just the wire times 10 and all next level. But
Yeah.
I love Baltimore. Shout out to Wiggs, my boy Corey. Everybody showed me real love out there. Barry, so I was out there cool. But also, too, I say this that I feel like if you got good energy wherever you go, you're gonna attract good energy. So, story about
Yeah.
Pompano. I remember getting down there, bro. I'm in the hotel, going to look for places. So I never forget. The lady at the desk did tell me, she's like, whatever you do, don't move to Pompano. I remember her saying that. But like, I went to go find this place, and across the street, I went to the wrong place. But it was a Lozano or whatever, right on Pompano. So it's across from a place it's called Collier City. They call it Collier City. That's where Lamar Jackson all are from. So as I'm leaving out the gate, my nice gated community round around, your senses kick. I'm starting to just peek. Like I'm on 27th Avenue. Like, man, this joint a little active around here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this look like Good Hope Road, MLK. I'm kind of just like, so I'm like, what's going on? Like, soon you come out. So, bro, I'm on my balcony probably like the end of the week, my first week there. And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, Pompano. This sounds like Pompano Beach. I'm like, oh, I think this is where Kodak from. So, Kodak always shout out his neighborhood, Golden Acres. So,
Yeah.
I'm on Google Maps, bro. I put in Golden Acres. It said 4 minutes away. I said, oh, everything makes sense now. I was like, okay, I don't move. It's got Pompano, then you got Pompanoia, what they call it. I was like, okay, I don't move to Pompanoia. I don't move to the Noia. But man, shout out to my boy Holly. Down there, my boy Holly from it's funny, Holly and Lamar, like they all grew up together, Kodak, all them. That's my man right there. And I met him just at the corner store and random, just meeting him. And I say that to say like we like this now, bro. Before last year when I was moving out of my old apartment and stuff, man, he like, man, I want to pull up on me. I got something for you. I'm like, what's up, bro? He ended up giving me Lamar Jackson jersey from Louisville, signed joint, bro. It's in my apartment right now. He like, man, you can do whatever you sell it,
Nice.
whatever. I'm like, man, I ain't selling this, bro. I'm keeping it. So, yeah, man, like I really thank God for how he positioned me, bro. Like I tell people, like I meet the right people, bro. I can say I meet a lot of people, but I meet and build with the right people, and like that's
Yeah.
been part of my
And that's the
journey.
most important thing.
Yeah,
That's a bar right there, meeting the right people to help you along your journey
yeah.
and keeping that good circle around you. It's funny, I had a similar experience too when I first moved out here from DC
Yeah.
to San Diego. It's Southeast DC, right? No, Southeast. I'm sorry, Southeastern San Diego, which is they kind of that's their comparable to Southeast DC.
Okay.
And I remember I went out there and there's this barbecue spot that used to be open out there called Huffman's, and I didn't know it at the time, but it's located at the Four Corners of Death. And I and I thought this was a nice neighborhood. I was like, oh man, we got palm trees out here. It's nice. Like, and
right.
oh, it's a hole in the wall barbecue spot, but it's banging, right?
Yeah.
And then one of my friends was like, it's like, what y'all want to eat today? Oh, there's a spot I saw called Huffman's. We gotta go there. He's like, I ain't going out there. Like, especially this time of night. That's the Four Corners of Death. I was like, I just was over there. Like, what you mean? I was chopping it up with people and everything, and I was like, man, that. And then they started telling me like the places not to go in the hood. And I've been to like some of these places, and I was like, this is y'all dangerous part.
You know what I mean?
Man, y'all got grass in y'all yards. Y'all got palm trees. There's no big tall buildings and pissy hallways.
Yeah.
Like, this is nice to me.
Yeah.
If this is the hood
Yeah.
and this is danger, this where I need to be.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That DC, I think East Coast in general, but DC just it's people cut from a different cloth, man. And I think because the size of the city, it just gets deeper too. Much more I learned about the mass incarceration. Like when I was home, they had a DC Natives Day, and they did a documentary on Lawton. So you learn about people that's back in the day, man. Us not having being a state, people going to federal prison their first time or going to federal prison for petty crimes or 15, 16-year-olds in Lawton. And I think what happens too is that, those people that did time, they came home, and some of them was fathers, some of them was mothers, and I think what's happening is that those that like they bringing that energy back to the city, and like that's what we was learning. Like a lot of these teenagers had to grow up so quick and so early. So I just say that to say, man, it's like you meet people, and it ain't even trying to compare nothing because we ain't ever glorifying no violence or glorifying that. But you be like, man, I done been around some dudes that I know they cut a little different. So what you doing it ain't really like, oh, this what y'all got going over here. But I ain't gonna tell you, I ain't gonna sit up here lie though. Florida is up there. Florida is a different call. Like they a
Yeah.
different call, bro. Like shout out to Duval. My dad's side from Duval, Jacksonville, so I already knew, what Florida was. But South Florida is different. But I'm saying when I meet the people down there that's really from Broward, from Miami, it's like they kind of remind me of DC people a little bit. So I think that's how I'm kind of able to connect. It's just like they don't care,
Like,
like just straight raw up and down. That's why when Kodak first came on the scene, bro, everybody's like, man, this dude tripping. Like, but I'm looking like just knowing my family from Duval, I'm like, bro, that's how Florida people are, bro. Like, they ain't, Florida, Louisiana, and DC. And he even said
like,
that in the interview. He was in prison. He was like, yo, in prison, it's gangs and it's different click up. He was like, Florida, Louisiana, DC. He was like, it ain't none of that. They just their own island. But it's because how they cut, or they cut from a different cloth. So
like,
yeah, man, like, and that's why I think yeah, like you said, or you
so
get other
true,
places, you
so
like, oh,
true.
this what y'all got? Like, nah, this ain't nothing. Like,
Like, cause you just like what I'm used to. This is what I'm used to, and then how y'all maneuver. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's probably some danger there, but
yeah,
they maneuver different.
because
Like
I'm
you
about to say,
said, I can't
it's
really
certain
explain
parts in
it.
the city, like, and I know a lot of people across the city, but there's certain parts in the city at a certain time, you're not gonna catch me over there. I don't care what's going over there. I don't care who live over there. Certain parts of the
Like,
city, I ain't gonna be over there.
absolutely, absolutely. So like, uh, your journey is so unique, so interesting. What would you say is one good lesson life has taught you through your journey?
Embrace the moments. Embrace the moments. And I say that, bro. I would say
Ooh,
I probably ain't really learned that. I was to turn 30 this year, maybe in the last 2 years or even a year and a half. Because you move around so much, you get blessed with so many
mm,
opportunities. I will get an opportunity and I'm already thinking about, all right, it's gonna go this way, set me up for this next opportunity, or set me up for this next job, or this bag, or this that. And then once this opportunity is gone, I look back on it like, damn, I could have did this more, or I ain't really appreciate that, or I ain't really see the value in that because I was always thinking about the next step. So now it's like I'm just embracing the moment. Like I'm now being transparent. Like, bro, Florida. When I first got to Florida, people are like, also, why did you love it? I'm like, bro, got a 1 bedroom down here for $1350. You know what I'm saying? This would be 2,100 in DC. But now inflation, everything is high. So Florida is like DC prices, but it's like, all right, I ain't gonna complain. I had thoughts at first like, I need to go to move back home, save my bread up. But it's like, nah, like my mom always told me, never put a price on your peace. So it's like, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm staying here now. Just got to grind harder, work harder. Got me a little side gig that I do. Get slight money from the podcast. I got another little hustle. Like they say, you working like a Jamaican. I think being down there around all the Jamaicans, it probably did rub off on me. Like, so it's like, man, just really embracing the moment because it's like, now you see how quick time go by. Like I'm looking at it now, like it's joking. I literally remember it was just January. I'm planning out, set my New Year goals, saying what I'm gonna do for the year. So now I'm looking at next. So yeah, just embracing the moments, bro. Because it's like once it's gone, like one thing I like about IG when they do the memories. You'll go to archives and they'll bring up something like, oh, on this day 4 years ago. You'll be like, damn, that was 4 years ago. That was 5 years ago. So just really embracing the moments, man, because it's gonna be gone just like that.
all right. So let's get into the steps. I mean, you gave us the educational route to the bag of how you got to
Mhm.
where you at. But let's say we talking to a young kid from DC who's listening to this, inspired by your journey and story, or let's say if, even an older adult that's stuck in that that 9 to 5 that ain't really for them. And they had a dead end job, or a youngster at a dead end job, and they're looking to make that transition. Um, and some of the journey you take is what has inspired them, and they want to go on that career route that you've gone into. What's some advice you would give to a person like that?
Like you said, so let me make sure what you're saying. Just trying to switch a career, like hey, I want to do HR or something like that.
Yeah, like that. Somebody who's in a dead end job wants to switch to
Yeah,
HR, or a young person who's just now getting to college, trying to,
and figure out, yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, trying to get into the
It's
HR world like you.
Yeah, it's the exposure, bro. Exposure. Like people always. I have a I've had a track record. People be like, damn, like you done had a million jobs. You don't work here, you work there, or and, and I also because one of I tell them like, look, I'm like this the thing with me straight up. It's like, bro, I ain't about to let no job stress me out or kill me to the grave. So it's been times where I should have maybe moved a little different. It's been times I'm like, look, this ain't it. All right, but I'm gone. Like, and part of that was my faith though, because I'm like, I know God gonna set me up for something, bro. It's times where I've had a job, I'm probably fresh out of school too. Young, you ain't really knowing it, you still adjusting to the real world. I had one job, bro. I quit the job without even knowing what my next job was. I remember quitting the job Thursday, and I remember getting on the phone with a VP at this company that I knew in DC on Monday, and I remember being hired that next Friday. But it go back to what I'm saying is the relationship building piece too. The advice I would give them though, college trying to figure it out, get that exposure, man. Like when I was at Dell State, amazing time. I'm an HBCU advocate. Shout out to Delaware State, man. Shout out to Dr. Harry Williams, who is now over the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. I was there to see him come in 2010 and really transform the school to what it is today. But when I was there, bro, I started the DMV club. My boy AD, shout out to AD Sutton. We
You
started the
started
DMV
the
club.
DMV club, the DC
Yeah,
Metro,
yeah,
and
at Dell
Virginia
State.
Club.
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
all
So at
about
Dell
it.
State, yeah, and we started it because we knew other campuses had it. Like my people's on the A&T was telling me about it. That was cool. But when I got to DC, like I just said, the makeup, bro. People know it ain't no secret, bro. We got there, man. DC was terrorizing campus, bro. I'm talking about that. You getting alerts about the robberies. You getting that. It's either was people that went there or people from DC that went there, bringing their people up there. DC was fighting. DC was getting into the brawls with people from Wilmington or Jersey. We had a young lady, unfortunately, actually lose her life on a shooting on campus. It was before I got there, but it was also due to DC having a beef with Jersey. So, when I got there, man, I saw the people from DC and they always hanging together, moving together because, like I said, it's so unique. We understand each other. And also, we just may be kind of scared to adapt. But I didn't do that because I was like, bro, I came away to school to grow. So my roommate, Darnell, he was from New York. I met my right hand man there, Fran, who's from DC, and other people. So I still was cool with my DC people, but I was like, nah, I'm trying to really elevate and grow. But see, I was still able to balance it. Like you might catch me in the caf with a foreign exchange student, and I might be in the yards with the DC people, later that night. So I'm saying that to say is that exposure from there, bro. DMV Club, I grew a lot, bro, because I was able to lead people from my town, from my area, and still be my authentic self. And I'm still growing. And it was important for me to grow because it's like, all right, if I'm trying to lead the people from the city, I got to tap in with the New York people. I got to tap in with the foreign exchange. I got to do the student leadership conferences. I got to tap in with the political stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, have a lot of mentors on campus. So that exposure helped me. So I was able to see, like, oh, I thought I wanted to do social work. Or I thought I wanted to work at a nonprofit, but I'm doing all these experiences that's allowing me to, all right, now I see this. Like, for example, when I started working in DC government, I was like, yeah, I want to work in politics. And I got the up close personal look. I'm like, oh, y'all tweaking in this. I'm like, hold up. I ain't, I'm with helping the people. But, like everything, it's some bad that comes with some good. But it was certain bad that just came with politics that ain't really rubbed me, didn't rub me the right way. And I just couldn't. I was like, this ain't really my thing. And I still got some political aspirations, but probably on a smaller level. Because in DC, man, it gets
Yeah,
so political because you in the backyard of the federal government on top of the district government, and those type of things. So yeah, man, I tell people exposure, internships, man. Like internships is the best thing you can do as a college student, even in high school. Go get those 6 to 8 weeks. Hopefully, you get paid for it. Make those relationships, shadow people, and every internship I can say I learned something from somebody who was whether it was a manager or I'm a hey, let's meet up for coffee. I'm a break room person. When I was at Rolls Royce, I got to have a one-on-one meet with Tom Bell. He's the CEO of Rolls Royce. Like people are like, oh, how did you get on Tom? How did you get to meet with Tom? I'm like, bro, I see him in a coffee break and said, that's me. You know what I'm saying? Like you a person. It's like you either gonna say yes, you either gonna say no. And like I never look at a salary, a position. I don't care what you did. You bleed like I bleed. You know what I'm saying? You was brought on this earth to God the same way I was born on this earth. So I'm either gonna have a good connection with you and pay off on that. So you got and you and that's not easy to do. Because I'm saying I want to be clear because I know everybody don't have that mindset to do that. So it's like you got to
Hmm.
just take that shot. Like even when I was go back to Dale State, being able to meet with the vice president, institutional advancement, Kamal Atkins, like it just came through an email. You know what I mean? Like, cause I always want to get up on people and learn. Like, how was your journey? What advice you got? Because you'll learn like the way that I'm giving this information. People want to share the information, especially younger people. They want to share the information and look out for them. So you got to get that exposure. And you got to get uncomfortable. So you got to get uncomfortable. That's the biggest thing I learned. You got to get uncomfortable, whether it's gonna be financially, new environment, whatever. Like get uncomfortable. Like don't just take the internship that moms or your aunt might got to hook up with you to do back home. Take the leap. Go say, hey, if you working in mass media, all right, I'm in DC. I know
Hmm.
CNN is here. I know DC TV here. Nah, go apply for NBC Universal in LA. Go out there for a summer. Figure out how you can stay there. Figure out to see if they can pay for it. That's one thing you learn. These companies be paying for this stuff. When I was at Rolls Royce,
Yeah.
bro, they paid me well. They gave me money to stay out resting VA for the summer. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was good. Like when I got to resting, you talking about uncomfortable? Man, resting was trash, bro. Like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, resting was so dead. It's a straight family vibe. So you think about me in 2018, there for the summer, and I'm in resting because the whole time there, I'm like, dang, like I ain't trying to keep driving back to the city. It's like an hour drive. But while I was there, I was like, all right, just embrace it. And then shout out to my boy TB. I remember once the time we was out over on the south side chilling. I'm like, dang, bro, I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, being out here for these 3 months gonna blow me. And he told me, so he said, bro, if you really want to get to the bag and level up, he said, you gotta alienate yourself. That's how I go. And I ain't never forget that because that's the mindset I took to myself. So even like now being in Florida and people like, yeah, you should come home, you should this, you should that. I'm like, y'all don't understand. Like I'm mentally growing, bro. Like, and I'm
Oh,
big
yeah.
on next level. Like, so, I'm thinking about when it's time for me to have kids and all that, I'm mentally growing on how to just handle stuff and deal with it. Like, it ain't no, I don't want to just have a cushion. Like right now, that inflation is spanking everybody. Like it's spanking me, but it's like, I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, if I got two little girls that, when I have, and I say, if when I have two little girls, two little boys, whatever at home, you gonna have to get out there and make it happen by any means, bro. So it's like, I'm growing in certain areas that people don't even understand. It's like, man, I'm just preparing, like, just to how to, dealing with finances more on my own, dealing with adjusting to a culture. Like, cause even in now, I'm now starting to finally make, I would say progress in like getting involved in the community. Like yesterday, Thursday, I had a conversation with somebody who got a nonprofit. He like, once you come on with the nonprofit, once you bring your podcast on, they trying to do some thing with like connecting the police with the community. So, and like, I'm a faith believer, bro. Like my grandma always tell me, you got a gift, God gonna make room for it. So I always know I'm gonna be all right. It's just having that patience and having that mindset, man. So I know I went off a little bit, but the
Yeah.
key is to get
No, no,
that
this is
exposure.
all great.
Yeah, get that
Yeah,
exposure.
get
And the
that
only way you get
exposure.
exposure is to jump.
Yeah, and I would say, network, network, network. Your network is your net worth.
Go.
If you network with the right folks, you can level up,
You got
and
it.
you can learn lessons and level up in life a lot sooner than if you just try to do it on your own. So I, I,
Yeah.
I definitely believe in
Yeah.
the power of networking.
Yeah, and one more thing is that LinkedIn, man. You know what I'm saying? LinkedIn is super popular now, but I can say 10 years ago, literally 2012, and me and my boy Zay now work for the Boston Celtics, performance coach. I got to go to games 5, 7, went to the finals out Cali when he worked with the Warriors. But I'm saying 2012, bro, me and Zay one summer, we had this thing, bro. This one LinkedIn wasn't even popping like that. We would be on LinkedIn and we just hitting the DMs. You know what I'm saying? It's so ironic that when he got a job with the Warriors, this was one of his managers was like a person he had hit up on LinkedIn. So like we hit people up just like, hey, I want to learn about your journey, how you got here. I want to see what's this and that. So for all the young people now, it's like we in this digital world. We got the gram, we got the Facebook. Leverage that LinkedIn, man. I'm still to this day always going to LinkedIn, hit somebody up, hey, I have a big interest in like DEI. So I might hit up VPs from DEI from this company, that company. Hey, you had time? They're gonna say yes or no. So for the college students that's trying to build that career, trying to figure out, I'm telling you, get on that LinkedIn and work it. Like work it. You could go in there, you can make your post your resume, connect. Like it's the best way, bro. And now, like me is working in talent acquisition. We have a thing called LinkedIn Recruiter. Like that's how much it's grown. So get out there and brand
Yeah.
yourself. Like I said, we get on that gram and Twitter, like do that. But think about that LinkedIn, man, because it's a digital world now. Like, people, we still got career fairs going on, but man, that's about to be. I see that being, not even around like in the next 10, 15 years. Everything gonna be virtual. So you gotta have that
they
virtual
they're gonna
presence.
be
And you
using
gotta
their
start working.
Inoculus to go to the virtual career fairs in the future.
Yeah, yeah, man. So I think the college kids there make that work.
I appreciate that advice. So yes, get on that LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the new digital networking asset that you could just easily level up and get to a C-suite executive that and some of them willing, like you said before earlier, is they willing to give you $1 million worth of game if you have come in with the right energy, right vibe, and they want to invest in you.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because
so
people see that
gotta
young
find out.
talent, or they see themselves, or they remember like, dang, I remember when I was, trying to get it, or I remember this, or like, you got a good heart, like man, people want to help you, man. You just gotta open your mouth though. You gotta put yourself out there to get that exposure.
Nah, as my mama used to say, a closed mouth don't get fed.
Nah, for real.
So you hit the podcast a couple times. Tell us about your podcast, man. What is the podcast? What's the name of it? What's it
Yep.
about? How'd you get it started? Give us some info.
Yeah, man. So, Dreams by Any Means Motivation Station that started last January. I always wanted to
Mm.
do a podcast. My boys and I, we talked about doing a music podcast, doing something. We just never did it. We think we like played around, recorded something. We never went through with it. So, shout out to my boy Reese, who I met at Dale State. He's from Philly. Reese unfortunately got arrested out, say junior year, going into senior year. He got arrested, went to federal prison, did about 5.5, 6 years. And we stayed locked in, stayed connected, came home, still connected to this day. So it was I'm gonna say 2020 probably. He was kind of saying like, yeah, man, I want to do this podcast, bro. Well, not in the podcast, like I want you to interview me, bro. I want to talk about life after prison, the impact, bro. Got to be mine, your family, all that. So I was like, all right, cool, let's set it up, bro. And he's like, nah, he's like, I only want you to do it. He's like, I need to talk about this. He's like, I want you to do it. So we end up doing it January last year, literally on my phone in Pompano. I'm in my closet, trying to get the sound isolation. He on his phone in Philly, at his house, and it's called Welcome Home. And we talked about just the impact of prison, man, and what it was like, what he experienced, how it mentally affects him, how it affected his family, the whole 9 yards. And then released it, and the feedback that I got from it was great. I was like, all right, cool. We're gonna run with this. Like I did it through Anchor. I'm like, I'm gonna keep going. So went from there, and then now, like I'm 40 episodes in. So the Dreams by Any Means Motivation
Nice.
Station, it relates to me of what we talking about, the power of networking and having an any means mindset. So, I got people, we started off with Reese talking about his prison impact, and then went to shout out my boy Monte. He moved from Virginia Beach to now he in Miami Beach. He's doing this entrepreneurship thing real heavy down in Miami. To so many different guests, but it's also me like kind of sharing my network with people, showing them like people always say like how you do this or how you do that or how you do that. But it's really the people that I've met, along my journey. And it's not just people I've met, because now it's like it's people that I'm meeting, like, hey, you can come on too. But normally it's people that I may have had relationships 5 years, 10 years, childhood friends, mentors on there, the whole 9 yards, bro. So it's really just a motivation, like inspirational podcast for people to share their story. Like I feel like everybody has a story. And like what I say at the
Yeah.
end of the episode is hustle plus faith equals success. And that's really what the
Ooh,
podcast
love
is.
that.
So we on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Instagram is Dreams by Any Means, one word. Twitter and all that. So I'm just steady growing it, man. Keep it at it.
Rise Urban Nation, y'all make sure y'all check out that podcast. Give my brother some
So,
love. We both on that same wavelength, and game recognized game. So I gotta support my brother from DC, and I'm
appreciate that.
gonna try my best to see if I can get on this show as well too.
Oh, nah, for sure. You don't even know. You already in my mind. Like, this is a future guest right here.
Appreciate that. Love is love. Love is love.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I like me and you. I know we could chop it up all day, but I like to keep it like a
Mhm.
40-minute type
Yeah,
of what used to be a drive time in our episodes. So I'm trying to think of how we wrap this thing up. So let's do this. Um, when you look at the future, I'm gonna wrap you up with two questions. Let's start with this one though. When you look at
sure.
the future of HR, talent development, some of the work that you're into, and infusing community development in that as well. What does the future look like for you when you look at your industry and what you're trying to build and create?
So you're saying, so I'll make sure, 'cause I know you said the future HR, but you said the community
You still
development
there?
piece?
I
Huh?
can't hear you.
You can hear me?
Test it one. There we go.
Can you hear
I,
me?
yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello?
Uh-oh. You dropped out again.
You hear me? What happened? All right,
Here
you
we
get me?
go. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, but you said the future HR, and what you say about the community development piece?
With what you trying to build with the future of HR,
Uh,
talent acquisition, and everything that you've been able to accomplish with infusing
yeah,
community
yeah,
into that, like, what does the future look like when you look at it and what you would like to build?
yeah. I think the biggest thing for me, talk about the future HR. Right now, um, George Floyd's death changed the world. It changed business. It changed hiring, focuses, stuff that should have, been changed. But, it changed the world. So I say that, in a lot of these companies and from an HR hiring perspective is that, we're looking and saying, hey, we need more people in here, and I don't want to say people of color. We need more black people in these spaces. We need more black executives. We need more black CEOs, and I know the talent is out there because most of them are in my circle. Or it's like I'm always researching and always, seeing all these influential people. But I say that to say is that it also starts young. When I first started working in HR, people was like, oh, so you just hire and fire people. Like, nah, it's not that, bro. Like, it's so much more to it. But the community piece in HR is that, hey, if we want people to come into these spaces, I know for me, I'm always thinking about like, all right, I know one day I want to be leading resume, interview, workshop, preparation sessions for people that look like me to get them ready to get into those spaces because, bro, corporate culture is not for everyone. Like, that's the thing, too. It's not for everyone. And then it's not going to be for us if we don't have a history of working in that. My mom worked for
Mhm.
mobile company forever, like great employee, bust her tail. Now she a district manager, all that, right? But she has not ever worked in corporate simply due to because she doesn't have a degree. So I'm saying that to say is that people got to realize like we don't have the CEO or vice president dad maybe coming home to dinner and telling us about how to navigate in that world or what they're going through. But no, we do have hard
Mhm.
workers who work and we know what they're doing. So for me, it's really trying to see these companies like, hey, you could build a pipeline with the universities. That's great too. But we got to build a pipeline with some of the schools, some of the nonprofits, the Boys and Girls Clubs. Because it's like, look, once they get to college, yes, they still developing, but they may not be already looking like at that. When people think, oh, I want to work, I want to work for Coca-Cola, or I want to work for Wells Fargo, whatever the case is, right? But they may not just know everything that comes along with that. So I think for me, it's like, man, just getting on a level and preparing people more on, like looking at these careers. When we kids, it's doctor, lawyer, engineer, all those different type of things. Like, but you don't think about like, hey, one day I might want to be the vice president of learning and development at Apple because I like to train and develop people and teach people.
Mm.
But that's not
Yeah.
a career that people are always pushing out there. So I think for a lot of these companies, it's going to be like, look, let's start some real partnerships with on all ages. For example, right now, STEM is a major push. But we know when you look at the numbers, as black people, we don't excel in math and science as much as these other races. So, okay, cool.
Mhm.
If I'm a STEM company and I'm like, you know what, for the future of this, I want to grow my company. I want to have a diverse makeup in here in the company. I don't want my board to be all white men. I don't want my board to not look like the people we're serving. Let's start on a level and see how we could train and develop people in STEM from these areas. Because I keep telling people when it comes to that DE&I thing, bro, it's a long road to go, and it's okay, it's fine. But people thinking they're gonna change it overnight. Because this is the thing. When I was at Rolls Royce, man, I had a vice president of HR at the time tell me something. She said, we changed from diversity and inclusion to inclusion and diversity. For the simple fact is like, yo, we don't have a hard time hiring black people. It's just they come in and then with a year or two, they gone. Why are they gone? Because the culture
Mhm.
is not representing them. It's not a comfortable place in. or people don't, and a lot of people in these spaces, they
Mm-hmm.
need to be trained on how to relate to other cultures too, because they may say something or lead a meeting, or man, I remember I was in one training, bro, in New York, bro, and it was this vice president, older guy, probably been there like 20, 30 years. And I remember him saying something like, I ain't take offense to it, but I was like, I can see how that easily take offense to it. He was just saying how like the company was growing, like, hey, these are the steps to 11, navigating. He's like, people always ask, for a seat at the table, but you also got to have the knowledge to have a seat at the table. And I'm sitting up there like, I'm like, easily, I know somebody probably took it like, hold up, what you mean? Because who says seat at the table? We say that. You know what I'm saying? And he's saying that, but it's like, I
Yeah.
think from his perspective, it's like, hey, we give people to get a seat at the table, but they may not be meeting the expectations that I want, or they may not be that. But it's like, you might not understand where this person is coming from. Because I know a lot of smart people, like super smart, but they might not have the social skills to go in a corporate environment. It could be on how they was raised, it could just be their personality, whatever the case is. So yeah, man, like the long game is partnering with school districts, partnering with whatever, and really building a real pipeline. Because college is 4 years. Like people definitely grow and develop in 4 years, but that passion, that upbringing is still gonna be there. So for me, man, because even me, people are like, oh, you work in corporate culture. Like, I just think I'm a people. Like I said, everything I just said in the beginning, I'm a people person. I don't let no titles, no nothing, get in the way of how I'm viewed. It's like, look, bro, I'm here. I'm here for a reason, and I know I'm always be good. You accept me. This is the culture of that. I'm gonna go find another bag. Oh, my chat though. But I was saying, like, when people get in those corporate environments and then, like I said, they out the door in a year or two just due to the culture. It's like outside of my 9 to 5, like I have a community around me. Like I said, I got a chat. It's me, my right hand man, my boy KB, and two of my big homies, Silas Grant, Tony Lewis. You know what I mean? Like we all from DC. We in there, bro. We bid every day. We build. We joking. We talking about real life stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
that keep me going. So it's like even sometimes if I'm working or after work or a break, like I always got somebody to tap into. So I think that's the thing too, with like that is like can help you. Because like I said, there's definitely been some corporate. I'm not gonna say every culture. I'm like, oh, I'm Mr. Chameleon. They're like, no, there's been some corporate cultures I've been in. If it was an age factor, race factor,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, where it just was like, damn, like I wish we could, do a link up after work or do something, on lunch. But it's like sometimes it's just not there, and
Yeah.
that's just like I said, just due to the lack of companies just having you got to just have a real overall like every piece like layer when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion. It can't just be going to colleges and saying, all right, we're gonna bring these students in. Like, nah, you gotta learn the culture for real. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You gotta learn the culture to be able to like have, be able to build a diverse culture in your company.
Yeah, and sometimes you gotta be able to understand what the culture is of that organization. That's a big part
Yeah.
of my
Like
job with equity.
yeah, because I want to share something, bro. Like when I'm been able to be in these spaces, man, like you learn people, and they talk about their upbringing. It's like, bruh, we got accustomed to like growing up, your friends getting killed, going to jail, going to the go-go, they saying rest in peace, free my man. We got the shirts, we writing on the wall. We got accustomed to like that's like me. I was like, oh, this is just normal stuff. But then we meet people from all walks of life, and they're like, damn, their biggest tragedy might have been a car accident. And I'd be like, that's how I want my kids' experience to be like that. Like, and that's
Yeah.
why I think for me, it's like I tell you, like, and it's sad because my dad went through the same thing I went through. My dad lost his right hand man when he was growing up. You know what I'm saying? I lost my right hand man. I was
Mm-hmm.
going to the streets. Like, so it's like people don't understand how that stuff follow you, bro. That stuff has impacted my view on friendships, impacted relationships I've been in, and I ain't really dig into it until at Towson. They had free counseling. My cousin killed herself, and like it messed it with me. It messed with me a lot due to the fact, like we was close as kids, and it's crazy that I was just thinking, or every time I was seeing him, I was just thinking about him. But when I went to talk to her, I went there solely for that reason, but we started talking about past experiences. We started talking about Ryan getting killed and how she broke down and like how this was affecting like so many ways I moved in life. So I'm saying that to
Mm-hmm.
say, man, if we gonna be diverse in these companies and we got people coming from these backgrounds, and people be don't want to share this because sometimes it's like work is work or they don't want to be looked at. But I know for a fact,
Mm-hmm.
bro, it's people that are VPs, directors, and some of these places, bro, and their fathers have been incarcerated for 20, 30 years. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
you got to think about the mental impact that it has on them. So when they may sometimes come to work and may act like an asshole, it might not have nothing to do with the job. This person might be tired of being on call links, might be tired of driving 4 hours a month to go see their parent and taking the grandparents. Like, and then you get into what my big homie Tony talk about, generational trauma. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that stuff is deep. So the companies got to really understand that, like, man,
Yeah.
we not just hiring, like a person to come here and do the work. Like, if we want them to stay and feel a part, we got to just know they up against a lot. So, like I
Yeah.
said, that George
And
Floyd death changed. I would say before that, it was DNI steps being taken, and some companies were ahead. But the George Floyd death, people hit me up on Zoom. Hey, Ed, just checking in to see how you doing, how you feeling. How you think I've been feeling the last 25 years? How you think I feel when I'm going jogging in Broward County and I'm in the red state? How you think I'm feeling when I'm driving and the police get behind me and I ain't riding dirty at all? But I started to just think, oh, I don't even want to have interact. Bro, it's times like people that laugh at me. It's times when I'm driving and I see the police, I'm going the opposite way. I don't want no interactions with them. And I ain't trying to be no hate the police, anti-police, but it's like, I just know, bro, one interaction with them might could go left. So you got to think about that mental capacity. Or if I'm running, I'm out there running. It's like the police ride by, you wondering like, oh, do I look suspect? Like, oh, my headphones right here on the side of my hip. I hope they don't think this is a strap. Like, people don't understand. Like, that's the black experience. So when people
yeah.
start reaching out asking that, I'm like, man, y'all supposed to been asking that. But bro, COVID is the reason why. Because before George Floyd, it was Trayvon Martin, there was Freddie Gray, and these was deaths that really impacted me and other people I know. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but people was able to sit at home and see this because we done seen other. Man, you got Rodney King, you got the forget the guy in South Carolina, forget his last name, I won't mess his name up. Running away, getting shot by the police. We got all
Yeah.
this stuff on tape. Like Park said, they got that on tape. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They got that on tape. But with COVID, people was able to sit home and they was able to see that man put his knee on his neck, kill that man broad daylight while being recorded. And I think people was able to take it in because like normally it happened. Oh, go on about your next day, go to work. Nah, we all was at home and the pandemic was happening. That was happening. So yeah,
Yeah.
man, that changed the world. Like it changed the world. So when people was hitting, and I appreciate it, but it was even I got invited to conversations like, hey, we want to have an open space talk, about the recent events, and I didn't attend them because I just was like, bro, like this ain't nothing new. Like I've been feeling the type of way. I've been feeling a little uneasy, and y'all know it's been stuff on this news of black people getting killed and police brutality and stuff going
Yeah.
viral. But you ain't tapping in, so and I'm not saying that none of it was genuine, but it's just like I wasn't really like this. A conversation that supposed to been happening, so I wasn't really like geeked up to go to that conversation.
Yeah.
It's like all right, and this is my
And
thing too. This is my thing too. I got a big homie that say something that's so profound. He say, look, when it comes to people saying they care about diversity, care about black people, care about culture, care about, equal level playing field, right? Outside of Zoom, outside of work, outside of the conferences, right? When you at home at your dinner table, when you with your people, when you at the bar, when you chilling, what is your conversation about black people? Is it the same?
mm-hmm.
Is it different? Is it genuine? Is it as I'm open and I care? Is it like, oh no, they making excuses, they don't need reparations. Oh no, I got robbed by a black person years ago. They're all the same. Like, because when I be on YouTube in these comments, specifically in Florida, bro, when they report stuff, when they be going hard. But I ain't gonna lie, a couple times I reply like, hey, cuz, like, chill out, bro. Like, you wild out right now.
Yeah.
They go hard in the comments. Like, so when I see those comments, I be thinking like, hey, it's a lot of people that think like this person, whether it's good or bad. So I think the thing is like, you gotta really have it in you and care. Because I'm saying I know some people that ain't black, and I know from me just being like talking to them, like they care. It's something they're passionate about. But it's like, is it something you really care about, or is it just because it's the hot topic right now? So that's why I say it's like it gotta get to that point. And last thing I'm gonna say, man, one thing I've learned, bro, with all these other cultures and people have their stereotype perspectives and all that, specifically about black people, right? We are the most accepting culture, but we don't get accepted by other cultures. Like that's the craziest thing to me. We are the most accepting culture, bro. I know moving to South Florida, I've had some experiences to learn, like not even just white folks, but other cultures look at black people a certain way, which I never knew. But growing up in DC, it's a different. It's also it depends on where you at. Growing up in
Mm-hmm.
DC with the Latin black culture, it's different. Like they adapting to us because we're the majority. But when you go to other places and you're not the majority, you learn like, oh, it's some prejudice and racism from this side too, huh? So it's like, man, but we accept everybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, my white boy, oh, white, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I want to go date a snow bunny, you know what I mean? In some other cultures, you take a black man home, you are done. I've had a female tell me, like, man, if I bring home a black man, it's gonna be looked frowned upon. If I bring home a white man, it's gonna look like I won. Like, so, it's deep out here. People gotta understand, man. Like, so all the fluff, nah, let's just keep it a buck. Let's just keep it a buck. Like, it's like if you dating somebody that's not like you,
Hmm.
depending on where they from, their parents, they come from the old school time, they may look at people a certain way. And then it's sad to say, even us as black people, sometimes black people want to separate themselves from black people. So for us, it's tough, bro. Like
Yeah.
it's tough. Like, and
Look,
I think for
it's
me, like
for you is what?
I'm just saying, like, for me, I just never could, like, forget my people, my culture. Like, I love being black. I love everything about us, bro. I love the music, the food. Like, if people know me, I be on my healthy eating, working out, clean, eating all that. But I ain't never like people like vegan. No, bro. I'm not never not eating mac and cheese. I'm not about to stop eating ham. Like I don't eat pork all the time, but around that Thanksgiving, oh, it's pork. Oh, that's pork. That's the only time. So it's like I love my culture. Like, so it's like for me, I'm never separated. And I also know that whatever people who get on these high levels and look down at people, I know easily that could have been me. Easily
Right.
I could have been in the wrong place. Easily I could have got caught up in the neighborhood beef and got shot or I got one of my mans locked up for life, bro. He got locked up for life in '08. We was in high
Yeah.
school. Almost about to be locked up more, than he was free. So I know easily the way it could have went. So since I know that, I never could get up here. And I know, end of the day, bro, this could be over with. Meaning, like, oh, right now it's corporate. I'm doing good. It's the third. We seen the pandemic show us that. And when it go, I'm cool. When I leave and I go back home to DC in my neighborhood, I'm able to. I go run in the park. I'm meeting people I grew up with. We able to talk and chop it up. I'm shout out to the Davis family, man. I say the Davis family because everybody that's my clan. They live a block over from my grandmother's house. I was
Hmm.
home. I'm out there running, working out, running to my man. My man is locked up right now. Ran into his mother. My mother, his mother grew up together. Hopping on the phone with him, talking to him, we catching up. Hey man, I love everything you're doing to the third. So I say that to say is like, man, I'm grounded on who I
Hmm.
am. Like, and I'm never gonna not be. I'm never gonna be embarrassed by that. I'm never gonna try to separate myself, man. At the end of the day, we black. We heard the Jay
Yeah.
Z song. We heard the Jay Z song still. At the end of the day, don't ever think we seen it happen with some of these Tiger Woods and all these people. Like I said, we seen it happen. You think you're above and beyond, but make a
Like,
mistake or let something happen. They gonna remind you. Oh no, you
like,
ain't
I
you ain't
ain't
one of us.
black. I'm OJ. Okay.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, okay, let's hope so. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So, once the thrill and the little factor phase, the honeymoon phase or whatever's over, whether your career, your money, or this, nah, you gonna get looked at as a black man. You gonna looked at as a black woman. So I'm
Like,
always riding with the black train. Like Wale said, for everybody that's black, like I'm always gonna be on that wave forever. Like they
shout
ain't
out to
gonna never
Wale,
stop
by
holding
the
me.
way. Root for everybody
Yeah,
that's
Wale,
black.
dope.
That's my guy. So so many layers to unpack there, but I think the one that comes that resonates to me the most, like if you think at all those layers that black people have to go through, and
Mhm.
on top of the trauma that the world, this is why D&I is so important. On top of the traumas that the world experienced today around gun violence, almost every other day, the political divisiveness and all that stuff,
Yeah,
all that you carry with you into how you navigate the world. So
yeah,
imagine just one person who only has to worry about the gun violence and so forth, but as a black person, the mental fortitude that it takes to navigate your day to make sure you miss the police. Did I have this right? Do I have the record set up? Do I now get to the corporate job? Did I make sure that I give eye contact to this person, but not eye contact to
yeah,
that person? What was the tone and inflection of my voice and my stance when I said this to
yeah,
Susie?
yeah,
And how was it towards her? To navigate a whole day of just being in your headspace about that? You don't, to get to your highest actualization of self takes a whole lot of energy to just get through a day to get
yeah,
to
for
and,
real.
and so you you even when you at your highest level as a black person in America,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think
bro.
if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you will you never get to stay at this high level of actualization because depending on the time of day and the environment you're in, you may be in survival mode, not even knowing it, just because you have to expend all this energy to navigate the space you're in.
Bro, yeah. Certain people speak to you. We don't even notice how we naturally just adjust our tone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you naturally adjust your tone. Or when you see your people, y'all naturally, realize, all right, you on that time. Like, it was like I was in a grocery store and I was sending a memo to my chat. And they was like, so I was talking to somebody in the background. It was like, oh, listen to him. Like, but it was like, it was a lady, older white lady. Oh, hey, how you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, if it was one of my people, like, it was good, bro. So you naturally is just adapting to that. But it's like, yeah, people don't understand, bro. Like man, and like, cause you already know, like, people already thinking something about you. But I've been in spaces where it's been older black women, and they might, talk, and I tell them about my past. I remember, bro, I was working with the bank. It was an older lady from New York, and she was just like, we talking about, her, and she's like, she's like, how did you get here? Like, how did you make it? Like, because I'm telling her, like, hey, I done faced some of the same experiences in urban cities that a lot of urban you face. And, she's like, just like, dang, like, shocked to see you get this. So you already know, people already thinking, or people thinking like you come from the, what they call it, the Jack and Jill family. It's like, nah, bro, like, my mom had me at 17. My mom had a full ride to college, gave up the full ride to come home and take care of me. My dad was living in Southeast with his boys, his mother was living in Florida. Father never knew him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
still made it out of that. And the reason is because the community, that they had around them. And then the community that I've been able to put around myself. So, yeah,
Yeah,
man, people don't, bro. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough being black, but I would say it's worth it, bro. Because when you go through all that, bro, with us, that's why we able to just create.
yeah,
We able to do things. Everything we do just could be so lit because we really turn nothing to something, like, for real.
yeah. Hey, we know how to turn a top ramen into a gourmet meal. We know how to
Right, right. Facts.
we make things work. We
For
are
real.
culture. We make culture, right?
Yeah, that's yeah.
And so if you not bringing black people in your company, you missing out an opportunity to build culture.
Yeah, bro. Let's talk. I'm gonna tell you one thing. Let's talk about Adidas, Nike, all these brands, right? Let's talk about Puma, bro. Puma linked up with Emory Jones, Jay Z, man. Puma out of here now. Puma, I be saying Puma shoes that, like, remember Puma used to just had a standalone shoe. Now
Yeah.
Puma got swag out shoes that look like designer. They got a little hip hop culture added into it, so it just show you, like, you link up with some black. We are the culture. People will talk about it. We're one of the biggest consumers, despite whatever the economic background may be. We gonna get fly. We gonna
Yeah.
wear stuff. We gonna make trends pop. Look what happened when Louis and them, linked up with Virgil. Look what happened with, as much people want to comment about Kanye. Look at what Kanye did with the Yeezys, with Adidas, with the car. Look at what Pharrell, Pusha T, look what they're doing with these brands. They
Yeah.
making it cool. Like, people don't realize that, like, black people, because we know, because like I just said about everything I said earlier, when you know the culture, you know how to take that culture into them corporate spaces and make it pop. So it's
Yeah.
like that's a perfect example of talking about, people want to diversify their company and, like, build culture.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta have the people there. Pusha T come from the streets and he talking about everything that going in his whole career. So when it comes to
Uh-huh.
fashion and what, people won't wear, what the hustlers gonna want to wear, be styled by that, he's speaking and bringing it to the table from real experience.
There, more DMV influences right there. Shout out to Clips,
Yeah,
Pharrell, Neptunes, all of them. That's the
yeah. Push
DMV
the
right
album,
there.
push a new album hard, man. That new
Oh
album
man,
gonna
I've
be
been sitting with
crazy.
that one too. Oh man, it's
Yeah,
almost dry. Oh, woo! They,
yeah.
I've been sitting with that one. That's my new, and especially that track he got with Jay.
Which one?
What's the track he got with Jay-Z on? It's almost dry. Oh man.
Oh, for real. Yeah. The
Uh,
first thing with the $1 million
yeah.
auto. That joint crazy. I like I like that I like that one with Uzi though. That one with Uzi go crazy. Scrape it off. That one go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
So
solid
you
album
about to
too. They
you
got
about to have me
already.
put that back in. I was trying to get my Kendrick Lamar off for a little bit just to kind of vibe to that. So I'm gonna have to sit with Kendrick a little bit. But you about to have me put that pusher back in.
Yeah. Hey, what's funny is about that, bro. I'm not a. Are you a Kendrick fan? I'm assuming. I ain't really too crazy about Kendrick.
I'm not a Kendrick fan, but I like To Pimp a Butterfly, and I like songs. I haven't had
Yeah,
a Kendrick except for Pimp a Butterfly. There's
yeah. Because I tell people like I'm not against them because like Good Kid, Mad City. That's one of my
Good
favorite
Cat, Mad City was
albums.
good too. That was a good album too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. But I tell people the way people put him on that pedestal. I just feel like sometimes when I listen, I'll be like, he kept like he cranked, but I be like, I don't know, like I don't get the people be like, Kendrick this or man, I had a dude in my chat tell me Kendrick was better than Jay-Z. I almost left the chat, bro.
you must be lost your mind. Jay
almost
Z is
almost left the chat, bro. I'm like, what you talking about? Like,
like Jay is one of my all time greats. I got
yeah,
Big, I got Jay, I got Nas up there.
I
Those
rock with
my
Nas
my
too. Yeah,
top three.
yeah,
If I'm being honest,
yeah.
and I may have some bias because I'm an East Coast dude. So
Yeah, right, yeah. But no, that's good, real like great music. Yeah, Jay, I tell Jay different, bro. Like what he's doing at this age and still able to perform, bro. Like with those lyrics and songs, like best rapper ever, bro. Like it's
yeah,
nothing,
and he grow too. Like you have to grow with his music as well because he talk about some
right?
different stuff, right?
And that's what I
Like
say. And then I think for this, his lyrics is related to his real life. So when he put it there, it's like this ain't no cap rapper. This just ain't the jewelry, like whatever. But like, nah, he like y'all heavy talk is way different. Like your heavy talk is, pop a boot, ride with it, whatever. You gonna hop on a drink with what's the remix? What do you say? When I say free the dogs, they free him. That's why me got free. Like you know what I'm saying? He let it know. Like, we going, like we different. You know what I'm saying? Like, say, my wife Beyonce, I brag different. Like, it's just different type stuff. So, like, be able to keep up, man. And, like, yeah, Jay different, man. Like, that's one of my Blueprint, one of my favorite albums
Man, he
ever.
talking
And
that
Mama
talk I
Love,
want to talk though. Like I look at it, I was like, okay, I need to level up now. Like Jay just told me what the next right level is. So now let me get my
yeah.
let me get
And
my
he
stuff.
been doing that. People don't understand he's been doing that. Like people be like, yeah, but like, nah, when you listen to Blueprint, when you listen to You Don't Know, all them joints, all them songs, H to the Izzo, I do it for the culture, to show you what it looked like to move in a room full of vultures. Like this is everything we just talked about of adjusting to cultures and moving and everything. Like Jay been saying this stuff. We just weren't listening. And he
Look.
1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4. You know what I'm saying? I was born to get cake, move on and switch states. Like, come on, dog. Yeah, he brought it to life.
Look,
You
he
know,
spoke it
I
into
can man. Hey,
existence.
look, I yeah, I'm a music fan, bro. So we end up going for like 5 more hours to get me started.
Yeah, we done took this podcast. So I knew this was gonna happen when you link up with somebody with you on the wavelength from DC.
Yeah,
We done went on to a whole. We about to go into a whole other podcast. It's about to turn into a Joe
right,
Budden podcast in a second.
right. For real though, man.
All right, well let's get into this. Let's wrap it up, and then I have a feeling when I get on your podcast, we're gonna do it do it real big again. It's gonna get
So,
crazy.
yeah, I'm about to pull up out Cali on you, man. I ain't never
I,
been in San Diego.
let's do it. I ain't nothing but a word. As soon as you get out here,
No question.
I pull out the red carpet for you,
So,
and we'll make it happen. Um,
yeah.
what projects are you currently working on? Where can people find you? Let's end it off on that.
Yeah, currently, man, just growing the podcast. Next month, like I'm trying to, I've been doing video, but just doing more better production. I'm working on one in Pompano with like a local comedian where I'm gonna interview him, but kind of do like a day in a life type thing, more than likely. So yeah, just really the podcast, man, growing that, getting more guests on there, and just trying to just take a different approach. So that's the main
Yeah,
thing I would say with that. But Instagram is Dreams by any means. That's Dreams with an S, one word. You can find me on there. That's normally where I'm updating with the podcast stuff, what I got going on in my life. Twitter is Dream by any means.
hmm
And then, Facebook, Ed Doxen, LinkedIn, Edward Doxen, YouTube, Dreams by any means, Motivation Station, as well as on Apple Music. So y'all go on there, subscribe, like, share it, leave some comments, the whole 9 yards. So just really, and one thing I've been doing is like, making the podcast. The podcast is really part of my personal brand. That's what I do love because it's really, like I
yeah,
said, I'm showing y'all people that I'm connecting with, and we having conversations that we probably would have even if it wasn't getting recorded. So yeah, that's just up
Mm.
next to me, man. Just really embracing these 30s. Just turned 30 this year. So just getting
Congrats.
better, man. Appreciate it, bro. Traveling more and just trying to just trying to be the best version of myself. So yeah, y'all listen. Anybody want to come on, man? The show, hit me up on IG, Twitter, Dreams by Any Means. Like I said, we can wrap it up. Everybody got a story. If you down in Broward, Miami Dade, or DC, we could do it in person, whatever. Like so, yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. Ed Doxen, ladies and gentlemen, Dreams by Any Means. Uh this is gonna be big. I can already see it's gonna be the biggest next thing. So y'all make sure y'all follow him, check him
Sure.
out. I can't wait to get on the show. Uh us brothers from
Sure.
DC just making things happen. Y'all don't know how legendary this is, because coming from the environments we come from. I literally had a teacher told me I'd be dead in jail by age of 21. I'm in my 40s now. I ain't seen the jail cell, and I'm making things happen. And
Yeah.
my man hit 30 here, so it's a it's
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing.
We
So
blessed, man. We blessed.
yeah, we was blessed. We was blessed, and we gonna continue to make things happen. We try to get to our J level. Jay, if you hear us, holler at us. Hit us up. I
Yeah.
need some of that 21 Savage advice. I ain't got I ain't got an in-house
For
doctor
sure.
yet, but if you could recommend a good lawyer and so forth, so we can get our bread
Yeah.
up, I'm all for
Definitely
it.
I say one thing I've been hearing is a consistent thing about that art. Definitely got to start investing in some art, man. They said Jay's up on that, flipping them art pieces.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. I must, since the stock market is crazy right now, I might have to
Yeah.
get into the art space.
Dope,
Inflation
bro.
and
But I
stocks is
appreciate it,
crazy
man.
right now. All right, Ed, I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for
Appreciate you,
making the
bro.
time for us today. And that ends the show, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope you check out all the other things that Ed is doing. One love.
All right. Peace, man. Amen.